entry group here?
Yeah, I'll do that. So are we going now?
Mhm.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Curtis. I started doing e-commerce kind of like in January of this year, and I want to be Texas' first jump rope brand. And so I've been building that out and figuring all of the kinks over the past like 10 months. So I'm here to like learn more about how I need to set up my store and just kind of get more information and resources on, making it better and finding it.
There is a local gal. Now, mind you, she does have a marketing background, but she has never built a store before. And it's Lionheart Hobby out of Kyle, Texas. Check out what she did. That's a do-it-yourself site, and it's beautiful. She did a really nice job. So
Lionheart what?
Most best hobby. And that isn't one of the ones we're critiquing today, but check out what she's done with that store. She's pretty amazing job. And I think it's a great example of what you can do and still adhere to best practices.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll check it out right now.
Cool. Maury, what you all about?
How are you? Yeah, so I have a rather quirky side hustle project. I created a template that allows you to create a portrait of Abe Lincoln out of your old pennies. So people who have old pennies lying around, you glue them on this giant template. And actually, you know what's funny is I have one right here, so I can show you. See, look at, there we go. So it's something that looks like that, and the pennies are actual size. It's kind of like color by number with copper. Anyway, I started it, I don't know, 2008 or something, and I threw up a website. I've sold about 8,000 of them since then through there and Amazon, and they're for sale at the US Mint and various, the Ford Theater, anywhere, Abe Lincoln birth sites, you name it. But, I just sort of threw up a website. I do zero marketing. I have like 10 Instagram posts. It's kind of silly, but it's all been kind of word of mouth and people finding this weird thing. The problem with my project is no one knows to search for a portrait of Abe Lincoln made out of pennies. So you got to find it somehow. But yeah, so I have a website and conversions are, I don't know, magic to me. I don't know. I've basically put every payment option on there, from Amazon Pay to PayPal. I think you can even pay with crypto. So yeah, it's I'm just trying everything and seeing what sticks.
That's cool. I love that the first two people we introduce are coming up with creative niches, and you pointed out the challenge to something people don't know to look for. That's probably one of the biggest challenges in e-commerce is coming up with a cool, fresh idea and then figuring out how you make people know you have it, which is kind of fun. Anyway, Jacob, tell us all about you.
Oh, well, you know me from watching your dogs. Anyway, yeah, I'm Jake. I'm from Austin, Texas. For about a year now, I've been working on an online t-shirt shop. But recently I've been looking into drop shipping as well. So I have a partner that I work with. He, actually puts together the website and stuff. And we're just trying different angles, trying to, figure out how to market the shirts properly. Hey.
She interrupts everything.
And right now we're in the process of trying to pick something kind of cheap, a sort of practice item to drop ship, and just trying to get it higher on the list and just trying to figure out where to go from there. The right distributors and manufacturers or whatever. So this is all really new to me. The creative part, I'm used to, but the marketing stuff, just I'm looking for as much information as I can get.
Cool. Well, glad you could join us. Omid.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. How y'all feeling? Doing good?
Doing good.
My name is Omid. I am Austinite, and I have many e-commerce businesses. One of the ones that I've worked thousands of hours on is an online clothing and apparel shop. And I have like 1,600 items on there with art that I have from Barton Springs and Balmaria Springs in the Greenbelt. All my art is inspired by local nature. And my website is called Where My Springs. And before COVID, I did really well for a year, and then COVID just destroyed everything, and it's picking back up. And it's legitimate. You know, I've been waiting for a company to hire that to have 18 to 20 million dollars of equipment and professionals to like print it and sew it by hand. And, you know, they have machinery that's like primo. The items arrive to the customers with my logo and everything. I mean, it's just legit. But where I'm stuck at right now, like, you know, in a sense, as Jacob was speaking, is the marketing, you know, the marketing and selling and all that and putting it out there. And that's where you know, I'm kind of like looking for creative solutions for that, you know, to putting it out there properly. And I'm trying different techniques that I could share, but that's where I'm at right now anyways. But that's
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just checking on somebody here. Kent, would you like to talk about what you're up to?
Hey, yeah, I'm Kent. I'm local here in Austin, Texas. I just released my website for apparel and clothing as well. It's voidisland.com. And so far it's pretty good with the site design. I'm a web developer by daytime, so I put a lot of work into that. I haven't done any marketing yet. I figured I'll wait 6 months to a year, but keeping it very simple. It's not print on demand, it's just low quantity items. So just looking forward to reviewing the site and looking at others.
Cool. Kate.
Hello, my name's Kate. I live in Austin and I own a company called Bunkit Wellness. So we are a menstrual health company. Our office is right over in the canopy. We just had our whole thing painted bright pink. So if you drive by on the east side, you'll see it. We're all e-commerce. We launched during COVID, so in August of 2020. And I'm always looking to learn more about marketing. I'm a dietitian by nature that fell into owning this company and marketing on accident, but I really love it. And I'm always looking to learn.
Cool. Amberine?
Hey, how are you guys?
Great.
Hey,
How are
everyone
you?
here.
Yeah.
I looked up Omid's little page, and man, this is bringing me some cheer. Outdoors and art, all that good stuff. I really like your energy. Well, about me, I recently finished some very different industry, psychotherapy, somatic certifications. I'm a mother of 3. I'm starting to get back into work with e-commerce. And right now I'm working on freelance writing for websites and kind of learning how to serve my clients better. For someone working in sports and outdoors, and just kind of here to sit back and learn from how e-commerce industry work and take notes for kind of the purpose of understanding what challenges kind of pop up for consumers, how clients can be better reached, and you know what's working for everyone already.
Cool. Nate.
Hey, everybody. I actually work for a company called Guardian Bikes. We do children's bicycles, and we have a patent around the brake technology. So it's a single brake lever that does front and rear at the same time, so kids can't flip over the handlebars. So we're the safest bike on the block. But what we're really looking to do this holiday season, we have a good customer base, but with all the logistics issues, inbound product from China, and then UPS and FedEx trying to hire up and everything, we're trying to pull as much revenue forward away from Black Friday as possible. So the biggest challenge is trying to overcome the inertia of standard buying behaviors where people want to wait until Black Friday to purchase. So we're looking at doing some timers on our website and doing some discount offers that are better earlier. So that's where we're looking to get any feedback and just learn from what everybody else is doing.
Sorry about that. Carolyn.
Hey, I'm Carolyn Lowe, founded ROISIF, had a background in e-commerce, but much more on the paid advertising. So paid advertising and Amazon side. So Facebook ads, Google ads. And I'm excited that Lori is doing this because every single one of our clients, usually I say, go fix your website first. So, usually I'll send them to Lori or somebody else to say, go fix your website first. So I'm excited to learn from Lori and the best.
Great, thank you. By the way, for those of you who are new to this, if you go to hire a marketing firm and they don't take a look at your site and tell you what's right and what needs to be fixed, that's a good sign that they're not particularly ethical, because firms like myself, Carolyn, and even and AJ, who is a different type of firm, we actually care about your success. It needs to be a win-win. You need to grow and you need to make money. And if somebody doesn't care that your site's not well set up to convert, then you're not going to get great results, and they don't really care. So.
Yeah, we always go, if it's less than a 2% conversion for $100 AOV or less, we usually say, we can't help you, go fix your site, go work with someone like Lori.
Thank you, and I'm glad to see you back. Brian, my new marketing director. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Holder. I am the new marketing director. I just want to say it's a pleasure and an honor to work with Lori. She knows her stuff. It's good to work with someone in the marketing and digital marketing industry that knows a lot of the ins and outs when it comes to e-commerce, as well as B2B and B2C business as well too. My background has been in digital marketing since the early 2010s. I have over a decade of experience working for Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield as a marketing manager, to working with Pharma Life Science Marketing as a director of marketing, working with clients such as Pfizer, Bayer, Johnson & Johnson, as well as helping with mergers and acquisitions as well too.
So now we just need to teach him e-commerce. You guys are all helping with that. So Lisa, I think you're next. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Trying to. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Lisa, and I'm usually hiding in the background in these things, which is why my camera isn't on. I sell retired Swarovski figurines, collectibles, ornaments, jewelry, anything that is no longer available from Swarovski directly. So my market is basically secondary market. My biggest challenges are, well, eBay, first of all. Market has really changed since I first started doing this. I started on eBay in 2005. And ever since then, because everything is so easily available now, there's a lot of competition in my market. So that and marketing and my website sucks, and just a whole bunch of things all falling out of place. And I wish I could hire Lori.
Well, start with the blogs in our email list. There's actually a lot of good stuff there.
Okay,
that will help you.
I will do that.
So I think that's it for now. All right,
Oh,
we need to pick. Oh, yeah.
I'm purpleunicorncollectibles.com, by the way, if anyone wants to check out and critique and hack my site.
You guys can feel free to put your URLs in chat and share them.
Yeah, so what we're going to do with the rest of the time today, I'm AJ, and Lori and I are going to be going through this to some sites together, but we wanted to give you guys a chance to vote on which sites we should focus on today. So we got a lot of great submissions. I'm going to hit for launching the poll. So go ahead and take a look. We can also take a look at some of the other sites that you all have brought in today. And we'll plan to go through the sites for maybe 10 to 15 minutes each to give very conversion focused feedback to help heading into holiday. So that's what we're looking to do today. Lori, do you want to introduce what it is that your business does? And then I can do a quick introduction before we jump in and while people are voting.
Oh, okay. And by the way, we want you guys to input your ideas as a customer when we're critiquing these sites, because ultimately the user experience is what we're seeking to improve. So you guys will all have great ideas and insights as well. So I own Redline Minds. We're a local e-commerce only firm here in Austin. Historically, we've been doing mostly development work. We do some on-site conversion optimization. We do SEO. We're actually really strong in SEO and email marketing. We've begun to do some chatbot and SMS. We're contemplating getting back into ad management. At this point, we don't do ad management, and ad management's a full-time job in and of itself. I tend to refer those people over to Carolyn over at ROI Swift because their reputation is amazing, and there's too much mediocrity out there. So anyway, that's what we do. We work with multiple shopping carts, so odds are pretty good we can help you if you need it. That's us.
And I'm AJ. I'm the founder of Experiment Zone, and we're really, really focused on conversion rate optimization and getting the right data you need to develop and design the best experience on your site. So we're a very specific niche, and we go very deep on how to get the data we need to make the right choices for your site.
And by the way, that's the big difference between us. What she does is so much more, it's deeper into the data and strategy of choosing conversion rate optimization. I would say what we're doing is more, in my firm's more like CRO light. So.
And there's a time and place for both. It's like,
right.
You've got to get the right balance over time. It looks like Guardian Bikes is our leading site right now. So actually I'll pull that up on my end and share that.
As you do that, AJ, do you have a target like benchmark conversion rate for e-commerce companies that have an AOV of like $350?
There are definitely some heuristics. I think what like our philosophy is that you can always get more value from your website. So rather than thinking about hitting a benchmark, it's about like beating your previous conversion rates and making sure you've got the optimal experience. I know Lori and Carolyn will have different data points and perspectives on that too. So I'll give them a chance to jump in if they want to share anything. Lori, do you have any heuristics that you think about there?
I don't think we get into it to that extent. I think obviously the goal is to take whatever you're doing and make it better. So, and that varies by market, it varies by product. It depends on what you're doing for marketing, how well you've targeted the traffic that you're driving to the site. There's just, that's kind of where our focus is. Versus some of the, like I said, the data difference that AJ provides is quite significant.
Yeah, and let me just reiterate, we're saying that's the base minimum. Like we won't take someone on usually below 2%. So there's no sky's the limit. If like AJ and Lori can definitely improve what you're doing. What we're saying is there's sort of a base minimum where paid ads don't make sense. Like don't spend any money on marketing dollars until you've got a site that converts.
And Carolyn, you mentioned $100 or less AOV. Mm-hmm. I assume that goes down a little bit with a higher price point.
It does. We've worked with brands like in boots, cowboy boots, $250, $300. Sometimes you don't see a 2% conversion rate. You think about it a little longer. We also use like their Google Analytics, like time to purchase. And so, if your time to purchase, usually $100 or less, when we look at like time to purchase, 80% of those people are purchasing within 24 hours, right? So there's no point in following them around for 30 days if it's less than $100. It also affects your retargeting strategy. So someone has a $500 average order value, we're going to follow them around for a lot longer. We work with a cargo hitch carrier manufacturer and brand, and their average order value is $950. So we basically sort of follow you around until you buy. Whereas like something like Kate's product, Funk It Wellness, where you've got sort of a $40 average order value. I mean, she's probably not going to follow someone around for 60 days, they've probably moved on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Although what's funny with something like that, somebody may try your competitor and not be pleased. So there actually is kind of a sweet spot to follow up maybe 30 days later, even if they didn't buy. So those are the kinds of things you can test to see what you do, what works for you.
Yeah.
So,
Great. Sorry, AJ, go right ahead.
Yeah, this is great. Nate, is there any specific part of the site that you guys are struggling with or seeing a lot of drop off in conversion, or do you want us to just look at it holistically?
I'd be happy for you guys to look at it holistically. I guess we have our homepage and our product pages, the PDPs, but there's also some of the additional pages, and we feel decent about the homepage, decent about the PDP, but the fact that people can change their customer journey to some of these additional pages, I mean, maybe that's part of it. And then anything else that you guys see, like our main CTA, it's Find Perfect Size. We have like a sizing guide quiz where customers can enter some info about their kids to help us provide the perfect bike. That's our email capture tool.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't dynamically change it over to a purchase call to action. And shop is up there in that top left. So finding the bikes themselves. So any sort of feedback around that, or just generally?
Great. Yeah. Lori, do you want to kick things off, or do you want me to jump in with a few things I'm seeing here?
I'm looking at your homepage, and for the embarrassing record, I actually did hit my front brakes once, probably junior high, old enough to be mortally embarrassed when I took a flying dump in the middle of a major street. I'm also a parent, so one of the things I quickly noticed, I learned the hard way that it was worth spending the money on a better quality bike because I could buy replacement parts and they didn't fall apart as quickly as a 6-year-old boy could devastate a Walmart bike. So I think there's some extra room here to add value. But what I'm not fond of is that you've buried your menu underneath shop. That's generally not an awesome best practices, although obviously there are reasons for different sites, and things like your gift cards and your reviews probably don't need to be up here. I mean, how many gift cards are you selling?
Probably not enough to warrant them being there.
And you should have
holiday.
reviews, all over the homepage. So, I mean, not the homepage, each product page. So what I do like is when I get into your menu, I see the sizes. I like the visual menu. This is awesome. And I have the option to use my Find My Size. So what I don't like is that I get there and I actually have to click again before I even get generated into the process. So, I think this could actually start out pretty, I like that I'm playing with this now. I like that this is visual. I mean, this is done quite nicely.
A couple things I would jump in with too here. Just this spot of the shop is disconnected from these other navigation items. So this might actually be, when people are looking at things, they're looking for things to be together and similar. So just simply like putting it over here might increase the visibility. We generally see people click the first of the left items, so it's the right placement. But to Lori's point, your other categories are not shopping categories and would be better served either as like a secondary nav or tucked in elsewhere in the site.
The other one is, and this is definitely a testable premise. I see your company's name is Guardian. Your categories, I mean, I can sort of gauge as I look at the desktop version that this might be about bikes, but there's actually nothing in your value props on your banner text doesn't really tell me this is a bike store. And sometimes you need to be painfully honest. What percentage, Carolyn was asking, and it's a great question, what percentage of your audience is coming in on mobile?
70%.
Okay, so even there, you know, I'm just squishing the browser, which I realize isn't a full mobile presence, but now I have no idea that you're definitely selling bikes. I mean, I can guess from the image, but if I'm just looking at what I see here, not only do I not know, but I don't even know what's different.
Is it only kids' bikes?
Yes.
Okay, so like Lori said, painfully obvious, build your child's confidence with Guardian bikes. Now I know that this is a bike for my kid. And your mobile hamburger menu is much better, you know, meaning like that big shop thing isn't there. But your chat window is on the left side, not the right side. So it's covering the navigation.
Got it.
You also have no search. And if your catalog's small enough, maybe that's okay. But especially on mobile, people like to be able to use search.
Yeah, and to broaden the feedback about the hero for other stores that are listening in general, we don't want our images to carry the meaning because some people are visual and some people will read. There's other marketing benefits to having it written down too. But in A/B testing, we always see clarity wins over something that's more aspirational for both CTAs, titles, et cetera.
So I think this is close. Yeah, sorry.
No, we also see too, like what's in it for them. Like this, like you need to make it personal to them, right? Like this is for you, you're giving your child a safer bike, you know. So I always see people focus a lot on features and not benefits, right?
Yeah, that's something that we've been really trying to transition over from and know that we're struggling with. So thanks for reinforcing that.
And you have benefits here. If I mean, as you're doing it, I think maybe they need to be up higher.
And you could repeat it. You can state the headlines here and then repeat it with more details below. Don't be afraid to repeat the really key information across multiple pages across the site. Shipping, return policies, like those sort of value props, you know, those are also useful things that we generally don't find you can say too often because you just don't want people asking questions and having to go track it down. You want the key information on every page. Awesome. We've got a couple other, just kind of playing time check here. I think we should switch to another one. Does anyone else while I'm transitioning have any other feedback for Nate?
Sure, you can take a look at my side if you want.
I think we're going to take a look at the next one from our poll is the Silicon Cafe. I'm going to pull that one up. Whose site was that?
I just heard him talking. Who owns this site? Silicon Cafe? Oh, we'll skip it then.
You need HTTPS.
Yeah, good.
Sorry, my Zoom links were all, my Zoom controls were on the wrong spot.
No, that one's got a site and a store, and the main site is not yet secure.
Okay, if this is your store and there's a different link I should be using, if you could put it on the chat. Otherwise, we'll go over to the other one, which is Voidus Land, had 2 votes as well. Void Island. Sorry, I now see what happened.
Redirect, yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, cool.
All right, just from a UI perspective, like the first thing I'm noticing here is there's a low contrast between the call to action here and the image. So just a small tweak, but we generally want the button to be the thing. The tool I'll give everyone is called the squint test. It's very sophisticated, high level analysis, which is if you sit back in your chair and you squint your eyes, you want the thing that stands out to you the most to be the header text, so the most important text on the page, and then the CTA. So it helps with our pre-attentive focus to say, here's the button we want you to click. So we really want high contrast. So white on black, or like colors that are very different ends of the color spectrum.
That could also, a lack of good adequate contrast can also get you into trouble with the Americans with Disability Act, which right now there's lawyers stalking e-commerce stores. So.
And our YouTube channel has a great conversation from last year about this. If you're looking for more information, we had a great meetup on it. One thing I love to call it good stuff in these too. So one of the things we see over and over in our optimization testing is that exposing products on the homepage like this is really helpful, because it gets people to see a concrete example of what you're doing, and it shortcuts the path to the product page. So I love seeing that here, and that's something that other stores should consider doing too.
Yeah,
Lori, what are you seeing? Mm-hmm.
I think that it depends on the store. I mean, if he's got a small catalog, so he could probably do it, but in other cases, categories and I tend to prefer a full color image on a homepage versus the white like this. I mean, we've got featured items, but in terms of the site itself, my first impression is, number one, it did load kind of slow, but I also don't really instantly know what you sell. Shop series of what?
Right. Okay.
You know, so, and again, you've got your products buried underneath, you know, underneath shop.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about who this is for too, right? So when we sell products for, we're selling the product, there's like thoughtfulness into the product, but the person purchasing needs to understand, like, why me? Like, why is this a good match? Either the value prop matches what they care about, or they can kind of see themselves in it. So if you have a target audience, being more specific very early on in the shopping page on any landing pages, even if it's just speaking to your company's value props, will help resonate that what is the product, who is it for, and why should I go with you over a competitor, are the three key questions to answer.
Especially if you're into things like t-shirts, which are very competitive. I mean, that's got to be one of the toughest things to sell, because there's, yeah, Carolyn.
Carolyn wanted me to repeat with my slower, I always talk too fast because I lived in New England. The three things that you want to make sure any landing page has is quick, direct message about what is the company, like what are we selling? I'll use Guardian. So we sell kids bikes. Then we want to be able to say who it's for, right? So kids, I guess, is implied in that too. And then why this company over competitors. So what makes these kid bikes better than other kid bikes I could buy?
Yeah, I mean, I generally say, what do you sell? Why should I care? You know, which is the same, you know, the same kind of thing. Okay, you sell bikes, you know, and if it says kid bikes, now we know who it's for. But then, okay, much as I had commented earlier, there's an advantage to spending more money for a better quality bike than going to Walmart, which is what we know most parents are doing. So make it really clear, this is great. It makes your kid, it's safer, it's easier to use, so your kid's going to have more confidence. And that's the whole purpose of what you're doing. So you just need to find a nice, concise way to say that. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at Void, and I'm squished it down into mobile. And in addition to the you know, the main hero not really giving me an idea of what you've got, you've got an enormous amount of space to about, but it's just a button. And again, it's really, and then right below that you have some value propositions, but I don't think these, I mean, comfy styles for, I don't know what existential thread means.
Yeah.
How does that benefit me, the customer?
And taking a look at the product listing page, I have a couple of like quick wins that what I often see with Shopify stores is that the default template is very visual. So the hero here was the same, the shirts in the category page is very tall and it's very visual. In almost every single test I've run, shortening this down because all they need to know is shirts. They don't need to see the picture. They want to get to looking and comparing products. So in general, we don't need this much space. We want to get products up on the page so that people see it. They're more likely to be incentivized to click through and get more details. So both on the homepage and here, you want to give people more than a peek of what's below. The homepage, I think, was even more extreme where you didn't know to scroll. So we always want to make sure if we're doing all that work underneath that people are actually seeing it. One of the tools I'll mention is there's a lot of different click tracking tools. Microsoft Clarity is a really strong free tool on the market. So you can just understand, are people even scrolling past my hero to get some additional data as to whether you should shorten it and if that shortening helps.
And then AJ, can you also, one of the things, and I would love to know some data on this, is doing a minimum of 2 if you have a bigger catalog, like having 2 per row on mobile versus 1 per row. Is that, what's the best practice there? What have you seen?
Yeah, this is a really fun one for me because I love your question. This is one that we see different results depending on what we're selling. And so our understanding of why they vary in terms of how dense your products should be is what amount of detail do people need to make a decision about what to click through. And that's going to vary product by product. Heuristically, we see the tests tend to lean towards more density is better, so you can more easily compare your options. So I would consider at a minimum making sure that you can see the name, the price, all the photo all together, so you don't have to scroll up and down. But even better would be doing an A/B test to understand 2 across, sometimes 3 across. Desktop in particular is really sensitive to this because if you have too many things to evaluate, it can be overwhelming. But on mobile, it can be very fatiguing to scroll. So testing it out is going to be the best way to get the answer to that. But for sure, you want people to be able to get the right amount of detail so that they can get to the next step. That's a great question.
For product pages, a lot of detail is better than not a lot, right? Like bullet points.
Yes, actually, I like what you did with your description. I mean, I know these are unisex, and I think that I see that it says unisex sizing. I don't know that Made in India does you benefits you, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't. I just think people are kind of funny if it's not made in the USA. I don't know that they view that as an asset. But I think the imagery here it would be probably great to have a shot with a man and a woman, so it's really clear that this shirt fits both. But I like your bullets, I like your sizing chart, I like your laundry instructions. What's missing is what is it going to cost me to ship, and if I don't like it, you're missing the core, what we call the core value props. Oh, up on the very top it says free shipping over $50, but it's not on the product page, and if I've scrolled down, I can completely miss that. So
yeah, and a pretty common winning experience is to have this type of message, like your free shipping message, be sticky, just like the nav. So as you scroll down, you don't lose that context about shipping and try to go find it again. So I think that's a great call out, Lori.
So,
and with a lot of our clients, if you're on Shopify, what we've done in my previous world, I had to do all of the e-commerce. So don't tell anybody I can code, but I will never admit to it. But on the product page, we would have this promo module that you could build in, and you could put text there, and it would show if there was text there and not show if there was not text there. And we would use a color, like depending on the brand, pink, red, or orange that would pop, that are good promo colors. And so if you're doing a site-wide promo, you could put a site-wide promo there. If not, you could put your free shipping over blah, blah, blah. And it would be maybe orange would be a good color for your brand or whatever. So that's a really cool thing you can build in Shopify. And then you don't need coding experience to it's just basically when you open the product page, you can put text in, it'll show. If you don't have text in, it won't show. So it's kind of nice.
I think the fact that you appear to be manufacturing in the US and you can ship faster than maybe some print on demands, with the holidays coming, you may want to make that also really clear, and even to create a sense of urgency as you get closer to where last ship date makes sense. So order by Friday to guarantee delivery by X, because I think this year we're going to continue to have more issues with, I like the effect on the add to cart button. I think we're going to see more issues with fulfillment.
And at least it's definitely in consumers' minds. So if you don't have that problem, reassure your customer that you don't have the problem too, is another benefit from talking about it. So what we don't want to do is shy away from talking about it at all. So whether there is a problem for you or not, customers are going to be thinking about it, and you just want to reassure them or give them really clear expectations about
And you need
when to expect things.
You need some reviews on this page. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think overall your calls to action are really like large and visual. This passes the swing test to me, right? I see the title, I see the core information. A very common issue I see is that either default templates or sort of custom work leads to the add to cart getting pushed behind specific descriptions or information. And I'm glad to see it up here. We see that to be helpful because people can always go looking for it, but that way that they can quickly find it in the place they're expecting it.
And there's one thing with Shopify that I found annoying. It was like, buy it now. I had to, work to get that to hide, and that could reduce your average cart value, right? So, I want people to get a higher cart value. I only have a few products, I know, but what do you think about the buy it now button?
I have a lot of opinions about it. I would say it's going to again depend about your customers. Heuristically though, having multiple calls to action that are all visually competing is very difficult for a customer to figure out, and they stop and think about it. So it's okay to give us multiple options as customers, but we want to have a very clear primary, and then you can support with secondary. But it is also you're right, there's other impacts. We want to understand the AOV impact. It could be that it's a faster path to convert, and so you get additional revenue because of that. You get people who would have left otherwise. So this is a really good example of something to A/B test, because it's going to be very brand specific for what solution is right. But the principles hold if you've got to have one clear call to action and not to confuse people. Lori, do you have thoughts about buy now?
I tend to obviously the ideal situation is to A/B test it. There's no question about it. You really want to see what it does on your site. But you need a fair amount of data to make that evaluation. If you're a new site, you don't have that time. I would say that the buy now is great when most of your customers are likely to pick up a single item and leave. But if you expect to sell a hat and a shirt, you're basically sending them straight to checkout. So they're not even going to get around to seeing the hat. And you may have left money on the table. So that's kind of the issue. And I think that even if you present both buttons, one of the things I find interesting on Shopify when they do that is it's dynamic, and it'll switch between PayPal and GPay and Apple Pay. And I think I would rather see that choice be present as they're checking out and not here, because if I see just GPay and I want to use PayPal or a credit card, I'm like, it's confusing. To me, it says, well, wait a minute, how do I pay the way I want to? And because I don't see all the options. So where we've put in a buy now button, it's been on a site where people almost only buy one product at a time. And then it pulls up the checkout page. So where they can choose their method of payment rather than presume that they want one over the other. Mm-hmm. So
Nate added a question about the site. So what about creating men's and women's categories, even though the clothes are unisex, and having the same product series under both categories? So Kent, do you want to share any of like the decisions that you've made there, and we can get some feedback from the group?
Yeah, I'm just starting out. That's a good idea, but it's like, well, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. If it's, it's probably more men that buy the shirts, to be honest. So it would be good to start that. But right now I'm just catering to what I know, which is men's clothes. So, but yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, or one of the testable ideas that I came up just based on what we're seeing politically is that you might want to call them gender neutral, because that now broadens your world to everything, and it's inclusive in terms of the wording.
Yeah,
and I've seen brands do both, so they'll have like a men's and a women's and a unisex category too. Again, that's probably going to be pretty specific to your audience and your product set. So if you
Right.
take anything away from AJ's perspective, it's it's going to depend on who your user is. We had a couple other sites posted that we didn't vote on, but I'm going to grab a couple of those URLs. Let's see.
I think the penny portrait might be kind of interesting.
That sounds
'cause it's
fun.
really different. Yeah.
Don't know if that's good or bad.
I'm not passing judgment.
And Maury, I know you gave an intro to the brand before. Do you want to talk a little bit about like who your target customer is that we should keep in mind?
Yeah, it's tough to know exactly for sure. I'll be honest with you, I'm horrible at that, but it's a lot of parents buying them for kids. And because it's included with this kit, and it's what I try and sell it a little bit is my thought process was a poster sells for $5, but a kit where it's a whole learning experience with a booklet with facts about Abe Lincoln and coin collecting and all that, I can sell for $20. And I include a steel penny. Those cost me about 30 cents, but hey, you can start your coin collection with this rare penny. So that's kind of what I'm trying to sell. It ends up being a lot of older crowd, like it skews. I used to have you could mail in to buy the penny portrait because I would occasionally get people writing in with checks, that crowd. And then I also have, I killed that eventually though, because now everyone's on the internet, but it's a lot of parents for kids and a lot of weird hipsters. If that's a demographic.
The kind of low hanging thing I'm seeing is that the buy now is below the fold. And so by fold, I just mean like the page that what loads by default versus where I have to scroll. I am on a smaller device, so it may be designed based on the specific device, but it's something we want to make sure when the page loads, there's like the clear thing that you want people to take action on.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm basing it on PC and mobile. So yeah.
The other thing I thought was kind of interesting is that you have a product page when you also have a home page that pretty much gives all the information. I wonder how many people go searching. I mean, are you tracking who's clicking what pages or anything?
You know what's interesting? I use this thing called Crazy Egg. And the number one thing clicked on is actually the product page. And it's horrible because I don't like my product page. The landing page is kind of the product page, as you stated. I created a product page in part, I think, because I was trying to do like help out with Google searches and meet their algorithms for a product page kind of thing. That met all the kind of, I don't know, typical information. But yeah, a lot of people visit this product page. It's the most clicked on link other than the gallery.
So they click on that more than they click on buy now?
They click on buy now. A lot of them click on buy now too, but based on, at least if I'm looking at Crazy Egg right, the product is the most clicked on hotspot, oddly enough.
And I suspect,
and that's just like the last 30 days though, so I don't.
And I suspect you'll see a shift in behavior by moving that button higher up on the page. Because people just might not be sure about how to get it if they are just reading that first part. As a generality, I see that like younger people tend to scroll more and older people tend to not be as intuitive, needing a little bit more support. So you may find that because of the demographics you're targeting, they may not have that intuition and need a little bit more support to do that. Yeah.
And you can see I just threw up every type of payment available to me, I suppose. So I'm not sure if that's distracting or not.
We won't repeat the feedback we just talked through, but it's the same would hold true about making sure to have that clear focal point on the page.
Oh, I see what's going on there. Yeah, I think there's something called decision paralysis. So you do want to be careful that you're not providing more than people need. And if I proceed to checkout, why would I need the debit or credit card underneath it? I mean, I think it's a bit confusing, but I don't think that's the biggest issue, but yeah.
as I look at it, I really don't even need to add to cart. I mean, people only, I only have one product. Yeah, so.
Right. Right. Actually, this is a great example where buy now would make perfect sense and maybe not have the other buttons on the page.
Yeah, it's a WordPress site. So my biggest problem is trying to figure out how to edit some of these. I know I can edit the homepage, but once you start getting into carts and product pages, it's there's not as much flexibility as far as editing them goes, or at least I'm not as good at it.
Yeah, and I heard you say you hate this page, so I have a couple of tips for this page.
Yeah,
since that was something you pointed out. So reviews are really when we have few of them, we still want to talk about our product being good, but we want to de-emphasize how many we have. And when we have lots of really good reviews, we want to talk about quantity. And so with 3 customer reviews, but 5 out of 5, you may want to say 5 out of 5, or averaging 5 out of 5 stars or something. You're not hiding it. People can still see it, but you're de-emphasizing the quantity of reviews. They're still really positive.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because I'm kind of faking that too. Those reviews are actually links to reviews on Amazon and eBay and Etsy, where there's a lot of reviews. I was just kind of trying to leech off of that, I guess. And it's, they're legit 5-star, reviews there. So
they're real customer reviews. I know that there are some tools, maybe other store owners who are here can share what they're using for reviews, because there's different ways of gathering reviews from across the web as well. Kate commented that you're nailing the hipster demo, that somebody already is ready to buy it.
It's funny because I show the product and I've heard before, maybe I should be showing the happy family or the happy person doing it. And I'm not sure if there's a better hero image of the product versus the experience.
Yeah, and I'll let some folks weigh in about their own perspective on that, because it is such a unique product. Nate also commented about testing out some different price points, which he suggested $29.99 as a possibility. The other small detail that we see be impactful, and I would be interested to know, if you're getting just one per order, is that this doesn't look like you can interact with it. And so from a UX perspective, people might not know they can buy more than one, or they might get confused if they start buy now and they just end up getting one. So especially if this is something where the scenario makes sense, like someone has 2 kids and they want each of their kids to have one. I don't know your customers well enough to answer that, but having the plus signs like we saw in Kent's store makes it visually very clear how to toggle that and get more.
Yeah.
Do you, what's the shipping on this?
Free shipping.
Okay, that should be right here.
I believe, I do. It's a little small. It's under the buy now, free shipping. It should perhaps be a bit bolder.
And
or like what Carolyn was saying with the pencil banner, to have the free shipping constantly across the site would be a huge win.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's a number of ways of doing that. The other one is you need a review platform, and you should be asking everybody to review. In fact, you could send them another collector penny in exchange for a review. But you've got 3 reviews that came off of other sites. They all have your name on them, and they're from 2018. So
yeah,
it's not a real confidence booster there.
I see. Yeah. If people are analyzing it, yeah.
Well, when you only have 3 of them, that's not hard to miss.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of put reviews on the homepage, was so that everyone can kind of see real reviews from folks.
Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, customers are going to be different from each other. So some are going to take the time here, and some are like, oh, I see product and I want to go there, and they're not going to read it. So we have to assume that we provide all the context that they need there. A couple people have commented in the chat with some suggestions about tools they've used for reviews. So maybe take note of those. So you did ask a question about the image.
That are free.
Oh, go ahead, Lori.
Sorry about that. I was going to say there are several that have generous free plans. YoPost has one that starts free, which is what was mentioned there. So does Judge Me. And lets people put up photo reviews, which is really nice. photo and video reviews, which can be super great for younger buyers to see. So
Cool, thanks. Yeah, this is good.
And I wanted to come back to your question about imagery. So I wanted to open it up to everyone about the imagery and how you convey the product as either like a lifestyle image showing people doing it versus like showing the end result. Curious if anyone has a preference as you're taking a look at this for what the default imagery or predominant imagery would be.
I just typed that question in the chat box. Creepy.
Well, for me personally, I would love to see more images of it or more lifestyle images.
I think that people just like to see people. That's the number one marketing tool. So it creates stories. And if you can show pictures of the product in action of people using it, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was a little worried about it dragging down the load times because I do have a lot of little kind of like, I guess that's called a carousel or something. And so it's a trade-off between, showing lots of fun little kids and stuff with their finished products versus load time.
Well, if in WordPress of today and a good hosting service, it should load fast if it's Photoshop optimized. What lags, I think, I have a WordPress site, is effects, like specific effects of if it's fading in and stuff. That stuff lags the website. So if you remove those, it should load up fine. My website has so many images, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a couple other strategies too. So there's like lazy loading where something will load at different times. The other, just like a UX thing too, is we can have like one image of the product and one image of a lifestyle that's very intentionally curated. One of the things that struck me as this was scrolling by was the kid wearing a costume. And I was thinking like some of those use cases where it's, there's some playful ones, the kid's smiling, but sort of things where you might start imagining your own child wanting to use it. Or like the kids doing it as a group kind of gives you the idea of doing it as a group activity. Because one of the things you mentioned in your intro was you weren't sure who your audience is or who's going to search for you. And so by, even writing it down, like great Halloween activity when you're dressing like Abe Lincoln, I can imagine being like a blog post article representing what that kid was up to, right? So being really specific, it doesn't need to be on the homepage. It doesn't need to be on the product page, but thinking of those use cases and like really imagining the person will help give you clarity over how the images can help tell that story.
Oddly enough, the vast majority of my search interest comes from a blog post. I made an infographic in regard to people who are doing penny floors and how much they cost. And it's still, to this day, I wrote it like 3 years ago, it's still getting tons of, search traffic and driving traffic for a weird, the Reddit crowd is big into penny floors. So it keeps showing up.
Do people build their floors with your template?
They have. People have like made tables with my template in the middle of the, in fact, there's a famous kind of finance blogger called, pennyhoarder.com, I think, or something. Anyway, the table in their main office is uses my template, and they're hanging up in the US Mint and places like that. So there's some fun places they've been.
AJ and Lori, I was wondering how you might handle the split demographic of customers when you're dealing with hipsters and children, two very different audiences. Or for Nate, he might be, seeing sometimes grandparents or parents, kind of coming on to buy a bike. Do you focus on kind of like broadening and catering to both, or just kind of niche down a majority?
Yeah, it's a great question. So just your audio is a little soft, so I'll repeat it. I think the question was, if you have two very different audiences, do you cater to both of them? Do you speak really broadly to it, or do you focus on one? Is that roughly it? The way that I typically recommend addressing this is to have a landing page or an experience really catered to your group. So you can imagine like a page that's really speaking to the Reddit hipster crowd who's building their, their homemade table with this top. Maybe not that specific, but the person you're imagining is that, right? And then the parent is like a different landing page. And then the homepage can kind of speak to both use cases and like point to those paths. So it's almost as if those were like categories. Like I'm a homepage, this is what the product is, this is why we use it. And like, here's the path to go look at how parents are using it and more of a curated experience or narrative around that. The idea would be that you could like run paid ads for parents to that landing page, or like people on Reddit might link to that other subpage that really tells the story about the hipster crowd. Lori, do you have a strategy on that? How do you think about that?
I think it becomes a challenge, and I think that if you're, I mean, it does help to have different landing pages, provided you're not cannibalizing them from an SEO standpoint. You know that. I think in this particular case, like if we're looking at the bicycle one is easy, that's almost exclusively parents with probably a secondary market for grandparents. For this, I'm operating on an assumption I would want to look at data to prove, but I'm going to guess that this is more grandparents and then again, hipsters, because I think this could actually make kind of a neat eclectic decoration. And then the occasional history nut. I mean, when I think about the people I know who would go nuts over it, they're like 70 years old. But they are buying, and that's all that really matters. So I think that where you can, if you can come up with a single kind of messaging, that's great. But you know, like down below where you have photos and things that happy users, I think that's where you can show quite a bit of diversity in terms of the different types of use cases. You know, like the happy children in these first ones are amazing. We have the classroom setting. This would make an awesome classroom project. We have the history nuts, and we have those who view it as a form of art. I mean, you actually hit all of them right here. So it's really more of a matter of figuring out how to incorporate some of that with matching messaging. So.
Yeah.
And I think giving some of these pages a little structure, like this gallery is a lot of images, but one thing you could do is give it headings like, you know, at home activity, and then like school activity and history buffs, sort of like grouping the images by type and giving a little preview at the top of what's below might be a way to help people see those different use cases. Kent just had a great idea, which was creating a time-lapse video of the portrait being made so people could really see those stages, which is a really interesting idea.
You know, actually, my hero image rotates out to that, although it's not really obvious sometimes. So on the homepage, I paid a guy in Fiverr to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the problems with rotating here, yours is moving automatically, but statistically, less than 2% see the second image. And, and that script, like Omid was talking about earlier, that scripts are what slow down your page. So you know, you may be better off, and I don't know if a GIF is going to be too large to, you know, like this looks like it's a GIF that's doing that. So I think you want to try to, I mean, you can offer it as an option, but I wouldn't make it the main image of focus. You also have a ton of words here. And I think like the testimonials might be better off further down the page so that the focus becomes, you know, what are you, and in fact, it's interesting because as I look at this now, what I mean, it's clearly a product page, but you've crammed so much of it into this fold area that I think the text is overwhelming, and the number one rule on the web is people don't read. So, so I think that if you can sell the product, make it look interesting above, then people are going to want to know what comes in the kit. You know, I love your tagline, a fun-filled activity where you create your own priceless work of art. I think that's really clever and fun. But I think, you know, and then you've got your main, what is it? Create a portrait of Abe Lincoln out of pennies. You know, so you've got what you need there. It's just kind of placed in a very crowded space.
Yeah, I think about the hierarchy of the information, right? So you've got, just like Lori said, like, this is what it is, and here's your tagline. But if you want people, you want to take someone's hand and like walk them through the information with intention. And so the way people use the web is top to bottom or left to right. So this sort of diagonal is a good narrative to think about. So they're less likely to read over here and down here. So we want to just like hold their hand and say, this is a way to get a portrait. Here's the activity that's fun and why to do it. Here's the button to get started. And then as Lori suggested, like just reshuffling it so there's a little bit more space to breathe and focus on the main points.
And make sure it's about them, you know, so get started today, you know, or something like that. In fact, when we talk about call to actions, and I don't remember which of the other sites had, I think it was the bicycle site, had a unique value proposition. Let me share the screen a second. I want to show off an email I got today because I thought that this was really clever, and it talks about experimenting perhaps with some unique call to action. So this is a Pier 1. This is a Pier 1 email. And of course, shop Christmas trees makes great sense. And then they get clever here, but down here, look at this. We've got, wow, I like it. And then down here, I want to see more reviews. I mean, how often does somebody invite you to go check out more reviews on the product? I actually thought that was kind of innovative. I want this one. This one is mine. So they're trying to reach, this is my tree. They're trying to touch the emotion of the person who's looking at that and going, ooh, I like that one, you know? So anyway, I thought that was a nice departure from buy now or shop now, which is what you see most of the time. So you can do that on your homepage too.
Yeah, and I realized we're 7 minutes over. So thank you guys for hanging in here. This was a lot of fun. I hope you guys found some good information to apply to your own store. And just to kind of wrap up, we're going to be not doing a meetup in November because we know it's a crazy time of year for everyone in our industry. And then we're talking about doing an in-person event in Austin, like a happy hour outdoor somewhere in the month of December. So stay tuned for all of that. If anyone wants to hang on for a few more minutes to keep talking about this stuff, we're happy to do that, but I'm going to turn off the recording now. And thank you guys for all being on today.